This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
We have to protect our citizens in the U.S., in the city of Sarasota. We can't let outside entities ship this poison in.
Stopping the flow of opioids on the Suncoast. Congress is considering legislation to have tougher monitoring of the U.S. mail. Those sponsoring the legislation say foreign drug traffickers are using it to ship directly drugs like fentanyl and carfentanil right into our community. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Conan. Welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on the efforts to stop opioid trafficking coming up. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin tonight in the city of Sarasota with protests and counter-protests over the issue of sanctuary cities. Even though there is no effort to make Sarasota a sanctuary city, Republicans are attempting to make it a major issue in the race for city commission. Democrat Jennifer Ahern Koch says her words are being misconstrued and calls it a diversion from real issues. It didn't stop people on both sides of this contentious issue from taking to the streets.
We're taking a stand against the agenda of fear, hate, and scapegoating that's being promoted by some officials.
I think they're extreme. I think they're ridiculous. They're advocating for breaking the law and ignoring the law, and that's a very dangerous precedent to set in our city.
A sanctuary city is a city or a town that refuses to work with federal immigration officials. Early voting is now underway in the city commission race and also one in Northport. In Sarasota, there are 3 candidates for 2 at-large seats on the city commission. Northport is holding a special election to fill a vacancy on its city commission. You can vote at the supervisor of elections office from 8:30 to 4:30 every day until Saturday. Election day is May 9th. Polls will open on that Tuesday from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. And in case you have not decided who to vote for yet, we will have all 3 Sarasota City Commission candidates here Wednesday for an hour-long debate. We are being warned about a rash of car burglaries. Vehicles were broken into overnight near Camino Road and Lakeshore Drive. One victim called 911, and the Sheriff's Office Aviation Unit and canines were able to quickly find the suspect hiding in the woods. Deputies believe he stole sunglasses out of the car. If you think your car was burglarized, call Sarasota County Crime Stoppers at 366-TIPS. A follow-up on a house fire in Venice on Sunday. The Sarasota County Sheriff's Office says it found marijuana, a lot of it, inside the damaged home. Detectives seized more than 4 pounds of marijuana, 3 plants, and grow lights from the home. Despite the seizure, no arrests have been made. Neighbors say the 2 people living in the home suffer from severe health conditions. You could soon pay less for local fire services. Sarasota County Emergency Services is updating how it determines fire assessment fees for property owners. The rate is based on the level of service being provided to buildings. Since the last update in 2003, the majority of calls have shifted from residential to non-residential areas, and the tax burden will reflect the change.
It's about a 13% shift. So some of our single-family rates will, the amount that's being paid by single-family will go down a little bit more on the commercial and the non-residential. But that's really because of the amount of growth that we've had over the last, 10, 15 years.
The fire department's total budget won't change. 6 public hearings will be held to explain the rate changes before a public hearing on May 23rd. Sarasota County's population is among the oldest in the country, and now more assisted living facilities are needed to meet the demand. According to the Census Bureau, a third of people in Sarasota County are age 65 or older. By 2045, it's estimated a quarter of the population will be older than 75, although 90% of Sarasota residents say they'd prefer to age in their own homes. More members of the baby boomer generation are starting to look into assisted living facilities.
Our community already has a very high percentage of people, 75, 85 plus, and this becomes an alternative living option for people who are no longer able to manage on their own.
Sarasota County has enough assisted living facilities to house more than 4,000 seniors. Sea turtle nesting season officially begins today. There are already 3 documented nests. In Venice, 2016 was a record year for turtle populations on the Suncoast, and Mo Marine is asking beachgoers to exercise caution. If you are on the beach, Turn off all lights at night, take furniture off the beach when you're done using it, and keep out of the way of sea turtles you may see heading into the water. The season runs through the end of October. Bob, we have got to keep those turtles safe.
That's right, safe, and we got to be safe too with the heat we had over the weekend. Boy, 96 on Saturday, 95 on Sunday, both those records. The one on Saturday, 96, was the hottest it's ever been in the month of April. Now, we are looking at slightly cooler weather today, but still above average. We had highs today in the upper 80s. A little bit more cloud cover and some heavy rainfall fell earlier today into Highlands County near Sebring. You see it winding down now, but boy, it produced up to nearly 2 inches over southeastern Highlands County. Currently, we had some showers approaching the coast, but they faded away. We have some clouds left over. It's 81, so not nearly as bad. It's bearable. Winds out of the south at 13. The pressure 2999. That is falling ever so slightly as a cold front approaches. While the evening forecast looks like this. Some clouds moving in, increasing clouds by 11 o'clock. Still warm though, 76 degrees at 11. Current temperature 81 in Sarasota and 85 now in Mayaca City. Minnesota, you're at 79, Venice at 80 degrees, 81 in Port Charlotte, and 83 in Parrish, Palmetto at 81. Well, the moisture kind of trapped with this front is moving in our direction, so we can see and we'll see a few showers, especially after midnight once the cold front approaches, and then some drier air to move in right behind it pretty quickly. So we don't count on much rainfall with the system after it moves on through. We'll look for some warmer temperatures too. By Wednesday, we'll be back to near 90 degrees that quickly with this cold front. The hourly forecast overnight, look for scattered showers and a few thunderstorms developing mainly after midnight. We'll have more on another cold front that's due to arrive on early Friday. Details on that in just a few minutes. Back to you.
Bob, thank you. ABC7 is now a proud member of the Raycom media family. Our dedication to the Suncoast remains as strong as ever and will only be amplified by the power of Raycom Media. Here is a look at how Raycom will be bringing us even closer to our community commitment on the Suncoast.
Headquartered in Montgomery, Alabama, Raycom is a powerful force in the media world, with stations from the beaches of Hawaii through the Sonoran Desert, across the heartland and deep south to the shores of the Suncoast.
Raycom is a company that invests in news in every market we go into.
This company is now 65 stations strong across 44 television markets. Impressive for a company that started in 1996 with 12 TV stations. Raycom is employee-owned, one of the largest privately owned broadcast companies in the country. It takes 4,800 employees to keep all facets of this growing group moving into this exciting and evolving media world.
We are Raycom Media.
We are Raycom Media.
What Raycom means to WWSB is more resources to allow them to do a better job covering the market.
But it doesn't just stop at the local television level. Raycom Media also includes 2 radio stations. Raycom Sports, which spans from covering sporting events to marketing and distributing the sports content, and 4 other companies: Pure Cars, Tupelo Raycom, RTM Productions, and Broadview Media, involved in digital, sports, and entertainment production.
3, 2, 1, and...
Today at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News.
ABC7 is already ingrained in the Suncoast community, so it's fitting that Raycom Media has at its core a strong belief in the communities it serves.
All of our general managers do 2 editorials a week, and they take up issues that are critical to the community, and then we in turn invite response from those community members.
As a Raycom station, you'll see more ways to deliver more information to you on the go. From over-the-top platforms like Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV, to the mobile device in your hand, and still on the TV set in your living room.
We will do not only news, but we will do, special content, whether it's, cultural or arts events that take place in Sarasota.
You will still see the same familiar faces bringing you the news that impacts the Suncoast, and you'll know ABC7 is finding new ways to make sure you don't miss an important story.
We're investing heavily in that, and we'll do that here in Sarasota.
We're still here for you wherever you go.
And to learn more about Raycom Media, just go to our website at mysuncoast.com. Still to come, keeping opioids out of Florida and the country. Congressman Vern Buchanan is co-sponsoring legislation to increase monitoring of the Postal Service. Could it cut down the number of overdoses on the Suncoast? The story when we return.
ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you weeknights at 5.
Attention, this is an important message for anyone who has taken Xarelto or Pradaxa. If you or a loved one took the blood thinner medication Xarelto or Pradaxa and was then hospitalized for internal bleeding, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to serious, even fatal internal bleeding. If you suffered a stroke, heart attack, or serious internal bleeding, or if a loved one died after taking Xarelto or Pradaxa, call us now. Our network of attorneys have years of experience fighting the big pharmaceutical companies and is ready to fight for you. Potential claims are being reviewed for users of Xarelto or Pradaxa who have suffered severe bleeding or hemorrhaging, stroke, or even death. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You won't pay a thing unless your case is settled. Call today for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone.
Please call 800-928-6604. That is 800-928-6604.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. We promise we're more than a dealership. We're a destination with a movie theater, massage room, aquarium, cafe, and more. We promise to give you top dollar for your trade, even if you don't buy from us. And if you do, we promise you the best deal. Bring us any competitor's ad and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
We hear all the time about the synthetic opioids wreaking havoc everywhere, especially on the Suncoast. Where are they coming from? In some cases, China. How are they getting here? Would you believe in many cases, the U.S. mail? Ray Collins has the story.
The first time I ever heard of it was middle of July last year.
Chuck Madden of Sarasota recalls the first time he heard about the drugs fentanyl and carfentanil, which he says is 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine.
This stuff is worse than you've seen ever. 3 grains of this stuff can kill you. The heroin will kill you, maybe. The fentanyl has a better chance of killing you. The carfentanil will kill you almost every time. Yet the addicts, the addiction is so strong that they will chase where the overdoses are occurring, which makes no logical sense.
Madden is a former alcoholic who now dedicates his life to counseling others about the dangers of substance abuse.
As an alcoholic, if you told me there was a bar that was selling vodka that could maybe kill you, I wouldn't go there. Tell these guys that a bad batch of heroin is on the streets up there. They get in a car and they flood to it, which makes absolutely no sense.
The heroin problem that we are seeing here in Sarasota and throughout the country is epidemic.
Sarasota Police Lieutenant Dimitri Konstantopoulos has been trying to get drugs off the streets of Sarasota for the past 19 years. But as of last summer, he says it just got a lot more difficult.
Just when you thought you had it figured out, along comes carfentanil and fentanyl.
It just exacerbates a problem that we've seen over the last couple of years.
So where is this coming from? Experts say it is flooding in through generic packages in the U.S. mail from China. And that's why Congressman Vern Buchanan is co-sponsoring a bill that would require more extensive screening for drugs coming in through the U.S. Postal Service.
Because people are dying from drug overdose on our coast. And FedEx and UPS does a good job about stopping a lot of these drugs. They screen. But the Postal Service has not done as well of a job.
It's imperative that we do something like that. We have to protect the homeland. We have to protect our citizens in the U.S., in the city of Sarasota. We can't let outside entities ship this poison in to our country and in turn killing our people, our brothers, our sisters, our children. It has to stop, and whatever we can do to do that, we need to pull out all the stops.
I love what Vern's doing. Vern's taking a very proactive position up in Washington because of where he's representing. You know, we have one of the highest death rates in the United States right here.
However, Madden still wishes more could be done to get at the root of the problem, not just the result.
We need to fund the legislation from last summer, which puts more money into treatment and more money into prevention. You know, that's one of the big things that's still not being done. So much focus now is being put onto the addict and to the criminal justice side of this. We have a whole generation of kids that are not getting really any education in the high schools about the dangers of this stuff. They don't know.
But for now, Madden says he's glad to hear efforts are underway to stem the flow in the U.S. Postal Service. After all,
anything that anybody is doing to stop one bag of heroin, fentanyl, carfentanil from getting onto our streets is a good thing.
In Sarasota County, Ray Collins, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
The Synthetics Trafficking and Overdose Prevention Act is still awaiting hearings in 3 House committees. How could it impact the Suncoast's opioid epidemic? We'll take it up with a recovery specialist and the head of Tampa's DEA office in a moment. We will take it to the trapezoid.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
How long have we been married now? For 76 years. He was kind and generous to me before we married, and he was kind and generous to me all these years. We decided on Meals on Wheels because I was getting to the point where I couldn't do all the things that I had been able to do. We're the Spans. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Are you a soccer mom or dad? Regardless of their age or experience level, when your kids play soccer or any other sport, there's one person on the sideline who is key to help recognize and seek medical care for sports-related concussion. It's you. You need to know the signs and symptoms of concussion, and you need to act if you think your child has been injured. Remember, when in doubt, sit them out. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/concussion. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004.
All hands on deck. What's up? I want to point out 3 tips for using the home computer more safely. Point away.
First, stop. Make sure your software is up to date and that you've password protected your computer's login and Wi-Fi connection.
Next, think before visiting a site, opening attachments, or clicking on links.
Then connect, knowing you're helping make the web safer for you
and for everyone. Make Stop, Think, Connect part of your daily online routine.
There's a whole new way to bank at Achieva Credit Union with Achieva Checking Plus. Get new unique features like full ID theft protection and online shopping rewards. Plus, it's an interest-bearing account, so you have a little extra for what really matters. Achieva Checking Plus isn't just an account for your money, it's for your life, including cell phone insurance. And that's good to know. Discover the plus at achievacu.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Welcome back. It is often referred to as the heroin epidemic, but synthetic analogs of heroin are causing a deadly spike in fatal overdoses. So what are those analogs that are allegedly coming through the mail? Fentanyl is a painkiller prescribed for terminally ill cancer patients. It's up to 100 times more potent than morphine. Carfentanil is even more deadly. It is an elephant tranquilizer, and it's 10,000 times more potent than morphine. As little as 2 milligrams can be lethal. Law enforcement even uses gloves to handle it. Last year, the majority of overdose deaths in Sarasota and Manatee County are from opioids, and they were actually caused by carfentanil and not heroin. How do we keep these drugs off the Suncoast? And joining us for more is P.J. Brooks, Vice President of Outpatient and Youth Services at First Step Addiction Recovery, and Assistant Special Agent James DiCaprio. He is in charge of the DEA office in Tampa. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. There was something interesting in Ray's story where the drug counselor was saying, you know, if you heard that there's a deadly batch of alcohol down the street, you wouldn't drink it. But you hear there's a deadly batch of fentanyl or carfentanil down the street and you rush to it. Why is that?
You know, here's an analogy, and this is for many of us who've been around a long time, and I've been in the field 29 years. First we had cocaine back in the early 80s, and then all of a sudden we had a derivative, crack cocaine. It's a much more intense high, cheaper to make, and shorter acting. And it really decimated whole communities because of the nature of that drug. Well, we have heroin, and then now we have the fentanyls, which are a much more intense, shorter acting high, and it's comparable behavior to what was going on with the crack cocaine epidemic. But unfortunately, in this situation, many individuals are dying. I mean, people did die from crack cocaine, but not near to the extent of what we're seeing now.
And Agent DiCaprio, fentanyl has a use, as Ray said in his story, in terms of pain management for terminal cancer patients. But carfentanil, I mean, that's a totally different animal, literally. I mean, is there any legal usage for that in the United States, and it has basically been hijacked?
They've been using that for large animals to put them down. The problem right now is what the users don't realize is when you're using carfentanil, you're literally looking for death. That's what's going to happen, because these dealers now, they're not experienced as far as how to mix these things. So when these users are going for that high, and to answer, you know, to talk about what PJ said, they're chasing the best high, the ones that can bring them closest to death. The problem is when you're mixing carfentanil, or if you're even taking that straight, that will kill you. And you know, some of these programs where they have Narcan that's going to help revive you, that may not work. And for the dealers that are out there, if you kill somebody, it leads to an overdose and kill somebody, you're going to be charged as such. So it's a game changer.
Right, and I know the Florida legislature is actually working on a bill that deals with that. But when you explain this, what component parts does it come into our area? And I mean, is this a mixed compound that people get, or does it come into the area in terms of ingredients which somebody has to mix together?
It's coming in as carfentanil, and it's being mixed with other drugs or cutting agents. So, like I said, these guys who are mixing it, they don't really know how to mix it. They're just trying to make it just strong enough where it's going to draw people to use it, these users, to make it appealing to the users, to get that high.
And PJ, just for people to know, is there a difference in terms of trying to treat somebody who is hooked on heroin and somebody who is hooked on fentanyl or carfentanil in terms of how you approach this and your possible success in terms of treating people?
Well, really the comparison is it's chasing an opiate. You know, these individuals, whether it be heroin or fentanyl or a combination of, and that's often the case, it's the desire to get high from the opiate. But in many respects, it's not just, I'm not just trying to get high, I'm trying to avoid being dope sick. You know, I'm trying to go through the withdrawal experience, and unfortunately, because with the fentanyls, they don't last as long, so they're having to use it more and more often versus the other opiates, and so they're dealing with that potential dope sickness from the withdrawal, probably on a much more regular basis.
All right, we are just getting started, and we'll pick up our discussion right after we check on our weather.
Ever since I can remember, I've been intrigued by industrial design and the optimization.
Wait, that's passion? Ever since I can remember, my passion has been industrial design. We need 3D printers for Miss Adams' engineering program so that we are ready to solve 21st century challenges.
Impressive. Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think it up.
Download ABC7's official Suncoast weather app onto all your devices so you can stay informed wherever you go. With our full-featured weather app, you get weather alerts, interactive radar maps, current conditions, 10-day forecasts, and weather video from ABC7, all at your fingertips. And it's free. The ABC7 official Suncoast weather app, sponsored by 1 Hour Air. Just search Suncoast WX in the App Store and download yours today.
The agents at SWC would like to show you pictures of all the homes that they've sold quickly for their clients. But they're just too many to show. Contact SWC today and find out for yourself. We just market your home better.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I am creating a job. I am Goodwill, yeah.
Our discussion of opioids coming to the Suncoast by mail continues in a moment, but right now let's get a check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Thanks,
Bob.
Alan. That same storm system that brought all that rough weather from Texas up to Illinois is now moving through parts of the Great Lakes. You can see the low spinning right there, the attendant cold front stretching all the way down to just offshore of the Suncoast. And this front is going to give us a chance for a few showers. Not a lot of widespread rainfall, mainly after midnight and up until about 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Some big storms, though, near the center of that low pressure along that cold front into New York, all the way down into central Pennsylvania tonight. That's where the severe weather threat is. There is a thin area for a possibility of tornadoes you see right there, and then severe thunderstorms to the east of that, stretching all the way down into North Carolina. That is the potential for storms with winds up to 60 miles an hour. For us, we had a few showers offshore earlier today. Those showers were approaching the coast, looking promising, and they fell apart. All we have left over is some cloudiness associated with what's left of those storms, and we'll see clouds throughout the evening. Again, cloudy conditions tomorrow morning mixed with some sunshine and a few showers and a few thunderstorms as the actual cold front, which is now well back to the west of us, moves through our area tomorrow morning and into the early afternoon. Boy, some big storms earlier firing off out ahead of the storm due to temperatures into the upper 80s to low 90s there. Highlands County getting up to 2 inches of rainfall. On top of that, some lightning strikes, so to keep an eye out for that, for the potential for some fires down the road. But right now, most of the rain is out of our viewing area at this time, but it will be back mainly after midnight. I mentioned up to nearly 3 inches now over southeastern portions of Highlands County and near Sebring, over an inch. Currently, we have some clouds and 81 degrees. The dew point still high, and the winds are out of the south at 13. That means a warm night tonight. We're expecting temperatures to be into the mid-70s at 11 o'clock tonight. The high today, we say goodbye to the 90s at least for a day, and then they'll be back on Wednesday maybe. 88 the high today. Over the weekend, 96 on Saturday, 95 on Friday, and boy, we could use the rain. We're over 8 inches below average for the year. Well, the forecast is calling for some showers and even a few thunderstorms possible up until around noon. They'll be scattered about. It's not going to be a widespread rainfall event, but nonetheless, we'll see a few out there. And then the next front is expected to move through on Friday. The one on Friday will have a little bit better chance of getting some rainfall here. And then the opposite of last weekend will be cooler than average, both on Saturday and Sunday. For boaters, northwest or southwest winds turn to the northwest at 10 knots, and we'll have a light chop in the bays and inland waters. Low tide upcoming, just 2 tide day tomorrow. Low tide at 119 and a high at 512. The forecast, mostly cloudy, scattered showers possible after midnight. And then tomorrow, some morning showers and clouds, 86 for a high. The extended forecast is calling for, well, they're near 90 on Wednesday. A better chance for Thursday night, Friday morning showers and storms, and then cooler for the weekend. Al will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
Every child follows a path in life. For many, that path will lead them to a door that gives them a place to grow, to learn, to belong, a place to forge their future. Because while many doors open, these doors transform. They did for us. Support your local Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off
off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251, 800-628-1251.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing synthetic opioids such as fentanyl and carfentanil. Congressman Vern Buchanan says these drugs may be coming to the Suncoast through the U.S. mail, and he is co-sponsoring legislation to crack down on this type of trafficking. Our guests tonight are P.J. Brooks of First Step Addiction Recovery and Assistant Special Agent James DiCaprio of the DEA Tampa District Office. This is not just Sarasota and Manatee County, which are dealing with this issue. I mean, I have a story here about how bad the situation is in places like Ohio and actually where the city where I met my wife and you went to college, Springfield, Massachusetts. This is a problem all over the country. And let's talk specifically about how this is coming into the country. The subject of our story is that in many cases it's coming from China. Agent DiCaprio, how?
They're shipping it in packages. People are ordering it on the dark web, and you have all these people that are just sending it into the U.S. through the mail, and also diverting it into other countries like Canada, Mexico, and then driving it across. And the problem is that you don't need a lot of this. You don't need to ship tons of it, like cocaine or marijuana. It's small quantities, gram, ounce, small kilo quantities, so you can, it's very hard to detect.
And PJ, you were saying there's a huge difference between what was legally used in terms of carfentanil every year in the United States as opposed to how it's used illegally.
Yeah, we're dealing with this epidemic, and if you look at the veterinary community in terms of the amount of carfentanil needed nationally to deal with the number of animals to be put down was only 18 grams.
In Ray's story, Congressman Buchanan talked about that, companies like FedEx and other private shippers have done a pretty good job in terms of monitoring, their packaging going through the mail. What's the difference between a company like FedEx and the U.S. Postal Service in terms of monitoring or screening what's in the mail?
I think the smaller companies, FedEx, UPS, it's a little bit easier, a little bit better oversight because they're smaller operations. But the U.S. Post Office is massive. It's huge. Everybody is getting U.S. mail. Not everybody's getting FedEx or UPS packages.
Now, first you said that it's being ordered. You could find places to get this on the dark web. How easy is it if you were just sitting here in Sarasota to order carfentanil tonight?
Pretty easy. I mean, you get onto some of these web browsers and you can order it and have it shipped to you.
Right. The legislation we're talking about, the STOP Act, which would add surveillance to the mail, how would it work, do you think, and how effective do you think it would be?
I think anything would be effective. Something is better than nothing. So, but I think not only will you have people that are held responsible that are sending it and have to claim what's inside and state what's inside and what the use is, so that helps. And then all of a sudden it kind of leaves a fingerprint on the package so that when you're sending in, somebody can take a look and see what now you can trace it back to somebody, and now they have to say what is actually inside, and it helps if it's not what they say inside, then we go backwards. We've worked with China on making things illegal, and they've been very, very good with us, trying to help us out, including themselves. They see the dangers.
What's the problem with China cracking down on the exportation of it?
They keep changing. The manufacturers keep changing. They're out to make the almighty dollar. They're not putting a value on human life because obviously they see how it's destroying all the lives here in the U.S. These manufacturers are changing a molecule, the chemical makeup. So they're they're staying one step ahead of the law. So China goes in, changes the law, bans carfentanil, then all of a sudden they change the molecule, they come up with a different type.
You know, PJ, just another factoid about this carfentanil used by Russian special forces for assassination attempts. I mean, that's just how potent this stuff is. And, you know, law enforcement, I would imagine there's only one part of the issue here. What needs to be done here locally and elsewhere that's not being done right now?
You know, we need to take it to another level in terms of access to care and really looking at the treatment needs and the issues around connecting with the treatment population. These folks that are in need of treatment, we need to make sure that if they need it, they get it. And not everybody is.
Right, and we talked last week, there is not enough resources for you and other places in terms of all the people who need it.
And really, we're dealing with the now. But we also got to think about what's going to happen in the future. And when we talk about that, we really need to ramp up our efforts around prevention, youth education, youth intervention. I always say that adolescent treatment is adult prevention, because if we're able to get to them before they're adults and having children, we may be able to intervene in a generation and do things like that.
And I would imagine, Agent DiCaprio, that trying to interdict carfentanil coming into the country is a little bit different than, let's say, you know, cocaine or marijuana or actually pure heroin, because those things are illegal anywhere you go. I would imagine, just playing devil's advocate for a second, there may be, you know, privacy people out there who would get nervous in terms of the stricter monitoring of U.S. mail. Is that the pushback?
I would say that'd be the first thing that comes to mind when someone is getting a package and it says on the outside what it is. I think the privacy laws, people will be affected. But it's really hard to, as far as, you know, talking about resources, to go after something like this from a law enforcement and from a health standpoint when people are using something and chasing something that's going to kill them. You know, it's kind of hard to grasp and understand that. And, you know, we do have to get it from every angle, from education, law enforcement, laws, penalties for people. And it's really, really hard when, you know, people are trying to devalue and self-destruct.
And when you're talking about the screening for these things, are you talking about algorithms based upon the information on the package itself? Because unlike whether it's marijuana or heroin or cocaine, you can't have a dog out there sniffing these packages, or unless, correct me if I'm wrong, can a trained, you know, dog sniff this stuff out in packages?
Well, no, it's dangerous for dogs, it's dangerous for law enforcement, and that's why I said it. This is, not only do you have the dangers, you know, the challenge of catching these criminals and bad guys and drug dealers, now when you come up on these guys, not only are you worried about a gun or, you know, trying to make sure, you know, preserve your own life and safeties as far as, you know, any kind of weapons inside. Now the drug that you're looking at has become a weapon, and it's dangerous for law enforcement and the dogs.
You know, PJ, where do you see this going? Because we have one story how the coroner does not have enough room to store the bodies here locally. We have stories that Narcan, the dosage, we talked about this last week, it's not always effective the first time you use it. Do you see this getting even worse before it gets better?
We are in a public health crisis. We truly are. This meets the total criteria for an epidemic in a way that is probably as challenging as any major pandemic that has come about. And I think until we totally commit to working on this on all fronts, not just the interdiction on the supply side, but also looking at the demand side and looking at providing all those care, we're going to be really struggling.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, plus what some of our viewers are saying about President Trump's first 100 days in office.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like cell phone protection for 3 phones, plus an interest-bearing account. And that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at AchievaCU.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
The official salon of ABC7. Cutting Loose Salon.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like full ID theft protection, and that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at achievacu.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Welcome back. Could increased monitoring of the Postal Service help keep opioids out of the Suncoast? Well, users and dealers find another way to get these drugs. Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And PJ, that's the question to you. If monitoring the mail is effective as we would hope it to be, are people just going to get this in another way?
The addiction is going to, individuals with an addictive disorder will find whatever drug they can use. We saw this with the prescription drug epidemic, and it shifted to heroin when prescription drugs weren't available, and it will be something else. If we don't look at the disease itself and work on it, it's going to be a broken record.
Agent DiCaprio, we were talking about the crack cocaine epidemic, which was big in the 80s and the 90s. I know crack is still out there, but we basically did turn the corner on it. I mean, is it a matter of stricter sentencing of this, or is monitoring the mail for it to come in from overseas just one part of a very big puzzle?
I think you have to hit it from every angle. I don't think one thing is the cure. Definitely the stricter sentences in the crack epidemic. I worked in New York City in 1988, and those sentences, those drug dealers knew when we came, they were afraid. And they knew, and I think that helped tremendously as a weapon for law enforcement to deter people from selling that.
Right.
All of a sudden, on the other end is education. You have to educate people to know that you just don't have to take a pill to take care of pain.
Right, and let me ask you this, because the problem with the crack epidemic is that there was a dichotomy between crack and powder cocaine in terms of sentencing. In terms of the people who are having this problem with fentanyl and carfentanil right now, does it span the socioeconomics of our country?
It's everybody, because a lot of these people got there from prescription pills and abuse of prescription pills. So now these are the consumers of fentanyl and carfentanil. So now it's everybody. You can't just focus in one area or another area or certain individuals. It's everybody.
All right, we'll have to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you very much. But before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about Friday's topic, President Trump's first 100 days in office. His approval rating is hovering around 40%, the lowest of any president at this point. While he was able to confirm his Supreme Court pick, he has faced difficulty with Congress and the courts, and we asked you what you thought of his first 100 days. Michelle McGrath writes, "Keep up the good work, my president. It will take time, especially since there is so much opposition. I pray that the people will continue to show these politicians who's in charge by voting. Make America great again." Richard Torrado writes, "Historically bad, has both the House and the Senate in his pocket, that still can't get anything accomplished correctly, pandered to the frightened and the weak of character, and has done nothing to prove he didn't come straight from their ranks. A national embarrassment, even for a reality TV personality." Wow. And Mike Conkey writes, "It seems like the only reason anyone likes him is because he is not Hillary. But ask yourself, do you really like him for his own accomplishments, or just because he is the lesser of two evils?" What do you think about opioids coming to our community by mail? Join the conversation on our Facebook page, facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, want to watch past roundtable discussions? They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to both our guests for being here tonight. PJ Brooks is Vice President of Outreach and Youth Services at First Step Addiction Recovery and Assistant Special Agent in charge of the Tampa DEA office. Agent DiCaprio, thank you very much for joining us. When we return, we'll have a final look at your weather, plus reaching a deal. Lawmakers in Washington are avoiding a government shutdown as Florida's legislators reach an agreement on their own budget. We'll have the details in our primetime headlines.
Are you a food lover, restaurant goer, or home cook? Then check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, and helpful step-by-step videos. And you'll love the restaurant guide with direct links to your favorite Suncoast eateries. Whether you're cooking in or dining out, whet your appetite with tasty tips from Chef Judy at mysuncoast.com/dining.
For more than 100 years, American Humane Association has been teaching kids to be kind to animals. Those in our homes, on the farms, on the silver screen, and wildlife conservation, caring for the world's vanishing creatures. But we can't do it alone. Visit kindness100.org to find ways to teach kids how they can make a more caring, compassionate, and humane world for all of us.
Whether a family member needs a little extra help around the house, assistance recovering from a hospital stay, or someone to check in on them throughout the week, Right at Home's in-home care is the answer. Your loved one deserves the right care, and now we need caregivers to help give the right care for the right reasons, the right way. At Right at Home, we're one of the only private home health agencies in this area with the opportunity to earn paid time off. If you're someone who loves helping people, take a look at our website and click on Jobs to join our team today.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our weather from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, the headlines over the weekend read severe weather, tornadoes, flooding, causing over 14 deaths from Texas all the way up to Illinois. That storm system is slowly working its way up toward the northeast, now into Iowa and over Wisconsin right now. The associated cold front is what did all the damage over the weekend. That front now well down to us and close to us, but bringing snow as far south as Nebraska tonight. You can see the clouds associated with the front. There's not much left to it in terms of heavy rainfall, and that's a result of the low being so far away from the actual front itself now. And some clouds, we can expect those to stay on the increase throughout the overnight with a chance for a few showers. The intense line of storms moving through New York still has some potential for producing tornadoes, but not nearly as much of a chance it had earlier today as it moved on through western portion of the state. You can still see a thin sliver of area from Pennsylvania stretching northeastward into New York has the potential for some rough weather here for the next couple of hours at least. For us, the clouds and showers out there in the Gulf, there were some showers out there. Those are weakening now, and we're just seeing the residual cloudiness moving in from the Gulf of Mexico, so not much happening with that. Should make for a nice sunset, though, in just a few minutes from now. And we'll look for, as I said, increasing clouds, especially after midnight, and a little bit better chance for a few scattered showers on Tuesday morning up until early Tuesday afternoon. Boy, big weather earlier in the parts of central Florida near Highlands County. You can see that rain heading close to the coast and then kind of fading away as it made its way in our direction, but nothing going on now into Highlands County, where earlier today we did see up to nearly 3 inches of rain estimates from the Doppler radar site in southeast Highlands County. Sebring a little bit more too there, an inch and a half. And right now 81 degrees, dew point 69, south wind now at 13, the pressure 2999, and it is again falling slightly as high pressure is kind of bouncing it around right now. As the front moves in, the high pressure heads off to the southeast. Hourly forecast calling for a few showers in the morning and then tapering off by 3. Not everyone's going to get the rain, unfortunately, and hopefully there's no thunderstorms, but if there are a few storms around, they could has the potential for producing a few fires, so we have to keep an eye on that. Here comes the front. This is one of the forecasts showing a few showers earlier, and then the line a little bit more intense into Hillsborough County. As it heads down, inland storms stronger. There'll be a few coastal showers up until around 2, as I said, and then most of the action kind of moving on through and weakening. Another front is due to arrive on Friday morning early, and some showers and storms around with that one. Southwest winds turn to the northwest at 10 knots, a light chop out there. The water temperature is in the low 80s, 81 degrees now at the end of the Venice Pier. Mostly cloudy. A few showers are possible after midnight mainly. If you have an evening walk, no problems. And then morning clouds tomorrow with a few showers. 86 your high. The extended forecast is calling for, there it is, 89 on Wednesday. Cooler on Thursday as the clouds move in with the front. Showers overnight, and then Friday morning a few showers, clearing and turning cooler for the weekend. Alan will be back right after this.
The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. They're my savior. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-809-5196 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-809-5196. This offer's not in any store. Call now.
Now time for your primetime headlines. We begin on Capitol Hill, where Congress is debating a new budget. And we have more from Janae Norman from Washington.
Congress is on the same page about a $1 trillion spending bill, avoiding a shutdown and keeping the government funded through September. That bill includes a $15 billion increase in defense spending, including more than $1 billion for border security.
The president got a lot out of this bill, most specifically $21 billion to help rebuild the military. I think that is something that he was very proud to campaign on. And is delivering on.
The deal increases funding for the National Institutes of Health and year-round Pell Grants for college students, and $68 million to reimburse local law enforcement in New York and Florida for protecting the president and his family. But the bill doesn't include cuts to Planned Parenthood or sanctuary cities.
So infusing his priorities in the 2017 budget cycle is actually something that he's been able to have a say in, which is a big deal for the remaining 5 months. The 2018 budget will address those things.
Also now on hold until negotiations for the 2018 budget, the president's previously proposed cuts for various agencies like the EPA and that multi-billion-dollar border wall President Trump has been promising since he was a candidate.
We will build a great wall along the southern border.
The White House says it will happen.
Well, make no mistake, the wall's going to be built. The president has made it very clear. We have 5 months left in this fiscal year.
With the budget deal now worked out, health care reform is again gaining the attention of lawmakers. At last check, House Republicans still didn't have enough votes for the new proposal to repeal and replace Obamacare, but they would like to see a vote this week. Janae Norman, ABC News, Washington.
Legislators in Tallahassee have just a few more days to resolve a lot of major issues. The legislature has until Friday to work out deals on everything from medical marijuana and a sweeping new gambling bill to measures involving insurance, public school testing, and property taxes. Over the weekend, lawmakers tried to work out the final details of a new $83 billion state budget. While they agreed on money for public schools and pay raises for state workers, other parts of the budget remain unresolved. Budget negotiations have to finish work on the new budget by tomorrow. Florida law requires a 72-hour cooling off period before legislators can vote on the final budget. State legislators are approving 2 measures cutting taxes. Senators are giving the green light to a proposal increasing the homestead property tax exemption. On the other hand, the Appropriations Committee is scaling back a proposed 10-day sales tax holiday in August to 3 days. The committee is also nixing tax holidays for hurricane supplies, veterans, and college textbooks.
We had commercial lease. We had a 3-day tax holiday. We had Senator Pasadomo's bill on feminine products. We had a couple of small ones. So I think all together that's about $75 or $80 million.
If the House approves the homestead tax exemption measure, it will go before voters as a constitutional amendment on the 2018 election ballot. The Senate Appropriations Committee is also approving major changes to the pension fund for state workers. Under a bill approved today, new employees will be placed into 401k plans instead of pensions. The legislation is coupled with pay raises for state employees. The first in more than a decade, workers earning less than $40,000 will get an extra $1,400 annually. If approved, the raises will go into effect in October. Florida Power and Light won't be charging customers for fracking it does in other states. A Senate bill pushed by the state's largest power company appears dead for this session. House Speaker Richard Corcoran says he has too many reservations about the potential consequences it would have on customers and the environment. He says the House won't vote on the measure. The bill's sponsor says it would have helped keep energy costs down in the long run. In 2016, the Supreme Court ruled companies don't have the authority to charge customers for these investments. New tonight, Agriculture Commissioner Adam Putnam is joining the race for governor. He filed his paperwork today. He has been the Commissioner of Agriculture since 2011. Before that, he served in Congress for 10 years. He is the first major Republican official to enter the race. Democrats Andrew Gillum, the mayor of Tallahassee, and Orlando businessman Chris King have already filed, and former Congresswoman Gwen Graham is expected to file tomorrow. The first Cuban American elected to Congress is retiring after nearly 4 decades in Washington. Republican Ileana Ros-Lehtinen telling supporters in Miami today she will end her time in office next year. Ros-Lehtinen is considered a key moderate voice in the House. She says her decision has nothing to do with President Trump.
From helping everyday people with constituent cases to standing up to dictators around the world, I'm proud of the work that we have accomplished over the years. However, it is now time to take a new step.
Ros-Lehtinen's unexpected retirement could be an opportunity for a Democrat to pick up her seat in 2018.
3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff.
SpaceX launched a secretive spy satellite into orbit this morning from the Kennedy Space Center, the satellite for the National Reconnaissance Office, which develops and maintains spy satellites. But what the satellite will actually do remains a mystery. SpaceX would not even reveal the size of the satellite and what orbit it is heading to. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us, and have a great night.